Today we're doing lesson 1, the properties notes. We're going to talk about variable and property. So a variable is a letter used to represent an unknown value. Properties, statements that are true for any number. Properties are used for addition and multiplication. These properties cannot be applied to subtraction or division. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the cumulative property, which is the order in which numbers are added or multiplied. It does not change the answer. So for example, in addition, the numbers are 3 plus 7. It's the same as saying 7 plus 3. 3 plus 7 is 10, 7 plus 3 is 10. Addition example with the variables in it, which is an unknown value. So if I have 4 plus x, it's the same as saying x plus 4. When I go to multiplication and I have my numbers, if I have 5 times 6, I'm going to get the same exact answer as if I say 6 times 5. The order does not matter. When I have multiplication with variables, if I have y times 8, it is the same as saying 8 times y. Either way you write it, you're going to get the same exact answer. That is the cumulative property. The next property that we're going to talk about is the associative property. The way in which three numbers are grouped when we are adding or multiplying, it does not change the answer again. So for addition, when I have my examples with just numbers, if I have 2 plus 9 plus 1, 2 plus 9 is 11, plus 1 will get me 12. But if I say 2 plus 9 plus 1, it's the same answer. I'm going to get 9 plus 1, which is 10, plus 2 will get me 12. The order does not matter. The only difference is where the parentheses are around the numbers. If you're looking at this problem, it may be easier to put the parentheses around the 9 and the 1 because you know 9 plus 1 is 10 and it's easier to add the 2 to 10. Addition examples with variables, we have x plus 5 plus 7. You would get the same exact answer if you wrote x plus 5 plus 7. But here you're going to want to put your parentheses around the 5 and the 7 because those are both numbers, and that way the variable is outside the parentheses. For multiplication, our example with numbers is 3 times 5 times 4. You're going to get the same answer if you have 3 times 5 times 4. The only difference again is where the parentheses are. When you do multiplication with variables, you have y times 2 times 6. You're going to get the same answer as y times 2 and 6. That is our associative property where the parentheses move when you're adding or multiplying three numbers together. Our next property is the identity property. It's when a number keeps the value after performing addition or multiplication. So for example, when I have 17 plus 0, so I'm going to perform that addition. 17 plus 0, I get the same number. It's 17. An example with a variable, when you have x plus 0, your answer is going to be x. So multiplication with numbers, when you have 25 times 1. 25 times 1 is 25. And when you have it with variables, if you have 1 times y, your answer is going to be y. If you see in these problems with the identity property, you have the number and the answer is the same as the number that's in the equation. Our next property that we're going to cover is the zero property. So the zero property is the product of any number and 0 is 0. So for example, when I'm multiplying 9 times 0, my answer is always going to be 0. And then when I do it with a variable, if I have x times 0, again, anything when you're multiplying with 0 in it is 0 for your answer. So now we're going to go into some statements, and we're going to go ahead and see if they're true or they're false. Your first one has 9 plus 71 plus 2. And on the other side is 9 plus 71 plus 2. In this equation, the parentheses are just changing spots where they are. Therefore, this is true because the property it applies to is the associative. The next one you have is 4 plus x equals x plus 4. Here we're just changing the order of the 4 and the x, and that property is true. And we learned that it's a cumulative property. Because the answer does not change when you change the order of the variable and the number. The next one we're going to look at is 7 minus 5 equals 5 minus 7. So here we're changing the order of the numbers, but if you remember the rule, it can never be applied with subtraction or division. And since we have subtraction here, and we know that our properties cannot be applied to subtraction, this is false. And the reason is because properties don't work for subtraction. The same difference if this was a division problem, we would say it doesn't work because division doesn't work for the properties either. It's only for addition and multiplication. Now we're going to go down to the U-try, and I will go ahead and give you your problems that you have to do. Your first U-try is 7 plus 0 equals 0, and you need to determine if it is true or false. And then your second one is 20 divided by 5 equals 5 divided by 20, and you need to determine if that is true or false.